Good Tuesday morning to you. Yesterday in my devotional, I mentioned that Psalm 22, Psalm 23, and Psalm 24 are often referred to as the mountains and the valley. And as part of talking about the Psalms, as part of digging into the language of the Psalms, it's also good to remember that these Psalms, all of the Psalms in fact, were written to be sung. They're meant to be sung as a melody, not simply read and digested like a lot of the other texts that makes its way into the Bible. So, with that said, today we have Psalm 23. Psalm 23 is a favorite, and I sometimes lament that the most we read this psalm is at the bedside, because it's certainly a powerful psalm as someone closes their eyes and wakes to eternity. But this is also a psalm for life. Last week at council, one of our council members doing the opening devotion wrote her version of Psalm 23. It was beautiful. It was reflective of her faith. And I just sat there listening to her words, thinking about how the psalm and its melody had made its way into her understanding and was a beautiful reflection of how God was at work in her. A week ago, I actually came across another version of Psalm 23. Another person had written it in their own understanding, their own way of seeing God at work. Maybe that would be a cool exercise for a Tuesday afternoon. If you could rewrite Psalm 23 to be a reflection of how you see God at work, all of the verses making its way into that reflection, what would it sound like? What would it look like? I was given a book in my office, which is written by Pastor Don's father, who had rewritten many of the Psalms. And his version of Psalm 23 is certainly reflective of a man who served the church for his lifetime and raised a family. And it's really quite lovely. Today I'm going to read for you Psalm 23 out of the Message, which is Eugene Peterson's translation of the Bible. Here it is. God, my shepherd, I don't need a thing. You have bedded me down in lush meadows. You find me quiet pools to drink from. True to your word, you let me catch my breath and send me in the right direction. Even when the way goes through the death valley, I'm not afraid when you walk by my side. Your trusty shepherd's crook makes me feel secure. You serve me a 6-course dinner right in front of my enemies. You revive my drooping head. You revive my drooping head. My cup brims with blessing. Your beauty and love chase after me every day of my life. I'm back home in the house of God for the rest of my life. It's beautiful, isn't it? Think about those verses. Think about how you've originally learned it. And maybe that's a great exercise before you go to bed tonight. How do you see God as your great shepherd leading you? What does that look like? Would you rename him to be some other caretaker? How do you understand your relationship with a God who gently guides you but also is willing to correct you so that you stay on the right path? It's my favorite image of a shepherd with that crook. It both nudges the sheep and pulls them when they need to. But it's never meant to harm them. It's always meant to keep them in line. Walking through the shadow of death, Eugene Peterson says on the edge of Death Valley, because of Jesus Christ, we only walk through the shadow. We don't endure the death he endured. In fact, he did that for us. He paid for our sins. How does that reflect in how you would say that? How do you understand that price being paid, that gift being given? You serve me a 6-course dinner. You seat me at a table with my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. Think about how God is blessing you today. How is God at work? How is God bringing you into a place of feeling like God is at work, God is in control, even when life is not the way you would imagine it to be? And finally, your beauty and love chase after me. There's something beautiful the way Eugene Peterson translates it, and it's actually more accurate to the Hebrew than surely goodness and mercy will follow me. God's mercy chases after us. It hunts us down. God's love is pervasive. It's reckless. It will not leave us in the place that we find ourselves. It will come after us. and we will find ourselves in the house of the Lord forever. Rest all the days of my life. Think about it today. Think about the exercise as you find yourself in the valleys of this world, the valleys of our life, the valleys of choices we make and reactions that are beyond our control. Where do you find God in it? And what melody is leading you to better understand that beautiful relationship God is inviting you into? I hope I have you singing the rest of the day. And now I'm going to get my cat off the table. Have a great Tuesday.